A very good afternoon to you all. Thank you for joining us for the UBC Lunchtime Weekend Edition News. My name is Wadulo Arnold Mark, and it's going to be an hours-long bulletin. So do sit tight. Let's give you these news updates. Palm Sunday, officially known as the Passion Sunday, is celebrated by Christian communities on Sunday before Easter, and it commemorates Jesus Christ's triumphant entry into Jerusalem, where he would be crucified days later. Christ's procession into the city is described in the Bible in the Gospel of Matthew, Mark, Luke. And here are some of the celebration images from the Vatican. More in our UBC Lunchtime News. President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni has rallied member countries under the Regional Ministerial Forum on Migration to harmonize migration systems that protect the region's population while enhancing skilled human resource development. The president was represented by the Vice President, Major Retired Jessica Alupo, at the closure of the 7th Regional Ministerial Forum on Migration 2026 in Kampala, where she emphasized the importance of collective action in reducing irregular labor migration.
The week-long Regional Ministerial Forum on Migration focused on harmonizing labor migration policies in East and the Horn of Africa has come to a close, with the United Republic of Tanzania assuming chairmanship from Uganda. President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, represented by Vice President Major Retired Jessica Alupo, called upon member states to develop coordinated and harmonized migration policies.
By working together, we improve skills matching, strengthen recruitment systems, and enhance cooperation with destination countries, and we can build migration systems that are fair, predictable, and beneficial for migrants, their families, and our economies. Most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to emphasize that the issue of providing consular support to migrant workers is not negotiable, and I call upon ministries of foreign.
The president urged regional leaders to prioritize investment in human resource development and the creation of domestic employment opportunities.
Uganda remains committed to the collaborative approach espoused under RMFM of acting as one region while negotiating bilateral labor migration agreements, sharing consular support, common standardization of employment contracts, skills partnerships, promoting ethical recruitment, job creation and youth employment, etc.
Member countries committed to upholding the dignity of migrant workers through bilateral agreements and collective negotiation with destination countries.
There is need to work together as East and Horn of Africa and also synchronize labor mobility issues. As a region, we need to add value to our human capacity by setting skilling training centers that train and retain skilled labor for migrant workers. This is going to be destination countries.
Countries in East and the Horn of Africa have been encouraged to streamline intra-regional labor movement and fully exploit local opportunities before seeking employment overseas.
I wish to underline the importance of strengthening intra-African labor mobility through the conclusion and effective implementation of bilateral labor migration agreements, BLMAs, among our member states. Such agreements are not only tools for managing migration, they are strategic instruments for promoting brain circulation within the continent and beyond, enabling skills to move where they are most needed while fostering knowledge exchange, innovation, and shared prosperity.
The International Organization for Migration recommended strengthening protection mechanisms, upholding human rights, and ensuring the safety of labor migration through monitoring of irregular cross-border routes.
These steps can deepen regional integration and shape labor migration in ways that works for the people and economy, especially in and around the informal sector, which generates about 3 million jobs for 12 million young Africans each year.
The 7th Regional Ministerial Forum on Migration 2026 was held under the theme Expanding Regular Labor Migration Channels to Promote Skills Mobility, Decent Employment and Safe Alternatives to Irregular Migration. Abdunasele Lubwama for UBC.
Furthermore, the National Consultative Forum has passed a resolution calling for all political parties that qualify to participate in the inter-party organization, IPOD, for dialogue to receive funding to support their political activities. The forum's chairperson, Godfrey Chiwanda Subi, says that the move is intended to strengthen political engagement and promote inclusive national dialogue. This development comes at a time when the National Unity Platform, NUP, has been excluded from receiving statutory political party funds. Let's take a look.
Memorandum of Understanding.
The resolution was reached during a high-level meeting that brought together Secretary Generals from various political parties. Chiwanda noted that allocating funds to qualifying political parties will enable them to effectively run their activities and participate in democratic processes.
Also resolved as the political parties that the funding of political parties should be made uniform. Even those political parties that are not represented in parliament should be funded, because the funding for these parties shall help them to run as political parties.
The exclusion follows amendments to the Political Parties and Organizations Act, which now requires political parties to actively participate in IPOD activities to qualify for government funding.
Under the umbrella of the IPOD, there is monies that are given by government to these political parties, depending on the numerical strength of these political parties. So our resolution is that these monies should be given to these parties without conditions of MOUs and all that, as long as a party qualifies to be a member of the IPOD.
The chairman, National Consultative Forum, Godfrey Chiwanda, called for a broader national dialogue to address emerging political challenges and ensure fairness across all parties.
Also recommended a national dialogue. Of course, after receiving all complaints here and there, we call upon government to arrange for a national dialogue where all stakeholders can sit around and see what went wrong, what can be discussed, and that can be done after the swearing in of the president, and afterwards we have such.
However, concerns remain over the interpretation and implementation of the amended law, which some stakeholders pointing to inconsistencies between the Electoral Commission and the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs regarding eligibility for funding.
A resolution has been passed that in extending support to political parties that are represented in Parliament, Electoral Commission should be guided by the law, not an MOU that does not exist within the legal framework.
The National Unity Platform maintains that the current framework, including the memorandum involving the Electoral Commission and Justice Ministry, unfairly locks them out of accessing public funds.
Political parties, regardless of whether they are represented in Parliament or not, should be supported because these are public entities that should be supported to perform their duties and responsibility. There can be a discussion about the degree of support, but the recommendation and resolution is that they should be supported in running the activities from the state coffers.
The National Consultative Forum insists that supporting political parties financially is key to strengthening multi-party democracy, even as debate continues over inclusivity and fairness in the distribution of public funds. Irene Faith Nantongo, Joseph Muyingo, UBC.
Following the annulment of the section of various contentious provisions of the 2022 Computer Misuse Act as amended in 2023 by the Constitutional Court on grounds of a violation of human rights, the government has now taken a step where it intends to revise the said anomalies in the Act. This, according to the Minister in charge of Information and National Guidance, Godfrey Kabyanga, will strengthen the legislation. Let's take a look.
On 17 March 2026, the Constitutional Court of Uganda pronounced a section of provisions in the 2023 Computer Misuse Act null and void, a move which threw a section of members of the general public into celebrations.
Misinformation and disinformation is becoming a very, very big problem in this country.
However, the government seems not to be relating as it takes steps to amend the anomalies.
But Attorney General has told us we are going to come up with still another law, so that one people shouldn't celebrate. We are going to come up with another law.
By taking this route, government insists that the scars inflicted by misinformation are painful and therefore safeguards are not optional but mandatory.
Technology improvement, and mainly the digital ecosystem becoming more sophisticated. But we are fighting it in some few ways. One, the laws. We are going to strengthen the laws because if you look at the Computer Misuse Act, even forwarding such information was also has been a crime. So that's one way we are going to fight it. But we are also going to improve our technology. We are making a lot of improvement in technology.
Kabyanga shaves off the talk of narrowing the communication gap, saying critics want to hide behind freedom of expression, putting it ahead of the wider intention.
You know, people think free expression of speech, misinformation and disinformation is one of them. Not at all. Freedom of speech, freedom of expression means you should express yourself in a civilized way. And you should give correct information. But every time we say, please, don't saturate, and because why should you saturate malicious information? Others think by that we don't want them to criticize government. No, you can criticize government. We have had several criticisms. And that's why we have put in place institutions like GCIC, like the media center. You criticize us objectively, we shall come and answer you. But that doesn't mean you should abuse the president, that you should abuse the first family, that you should abuse a minister because you think that you are criticizing what? Government. Not at all.
According to Minister Godfrey Kabyanga, this move doesn't leave Uganda to operate in isolation.
Most of the countries, some of the advanced countries have that technology. For instance, in Dubai, you can't just send any information. The United Arab Emirates. That's why you meet even these wars in this war, Iran-Israel war. There is limited information that you can get because they know how to detect.
Robert Onyango, UBC News.
Joy, excitement, celebration and jubilation filled Chiwangula playgrounds in Ntenjeru, North Kayunga district as leaders of the People Grow Farmers Multipurpose Cooperative Society Limited gathered from across the country to launch their official identification cards. Following the launch of the leaders' dance in celebration, embracing a spirit of unity and highlighting the strength behind their shared vision. The event, which was presided over by the Presidential Assistant Ian Gumisiriza Jeremiah, marked a historic milestone in the fact that the cards are very crucial for verifying members' identity and enhancing security within the outside of the cooperative.
As we go further, as PGROW becomes bigger, as also the president injects more capital into this organization, we believe that the leaders will continue to do their work with utmost trust so that they can help the people to uplift themselves from poverty. PGROW is PGROW Farmers Multipurpose Cooperative Society. It is organized in the form of an umbrella body that unites together over 400 circles in the entire country. There has been a tendency of people masquerading and calling themselves leaders of PGROW because PGROW has now become the talk of the country in terms of massive organization and mobilization of members to save, to invest, and also to borrow so that they can be able to enhance their incomes. So because of that, some people have come out to masquerade and call themselves leaders. That's why today, together with the leaders of PGROW, we have launched the ID that distinguishes them from the others. Each leader will have an ID that indicates exactly what they are. And these IDs are going to have also a national identification number which cannot be duplicated. But people out there must know that these IDs are not simple IDs. They are backed up by a system that is verifiable. So no one should start thinking of now duplicating or forging these IDs. So
those mafias who can come and rob money from our members. To avoid that, we have suggested our members, all leaders, to have this ID so that they can go beyond unity as they are identified.
Furthermore, in our weekly edition, 2 head teachers have been arrested in Mbale district over allegations of collecting illegal school fees in government schools as authorities intensify efforts to curb the vice.
Schools charging unauthorized school fees following growing complaints from parents across the district. During an emergency meeting in Mbale attended by security personnel, district education authorities, representatives from the State House Anti-Corruption Unit and school head teachers, leaders strongly condemned the practice, describing it as illegal and exploitative. Authorities revealed that 1 head teacher is already in custody for allegedly collecting unlawful charges. Tensions escalated during the meeting when another head teacher attempted to defend the practice, prompting the resident district commissioner, Stanley Bayole, to order his immediate arrest and investigation.
When even another one has been caning learners for not paying fees. I said I cried, I shed tears in the morning when a parent was crying to me, my kid was kind of not paying. Now you are standing that our colleague who is inside. Is he your wife or your in-law? Get embarrassed and ashamed. We have spent the whole day here from morning 8, it's coming to 5. I thought we were going to talk sense. Straight away, Afande, investigate him. You are going with him to investigate. After this meeting, go with him, investigate. That's Mubirabi Primary School. The teacher is there. You don't leave it, go with him to investigate immediately. I'm instructing.
As schools prepare to register candidates for national examinations under the Uganda National Examinations Board, concerns have emerged over parents being asked to pay fees already covered by the government. President Yoweri Museveni has repeatedly condemned the imposition of illegal school charges, emphasizing that the government meets examination costs for all candidates in public schools. The head of the State House Education Desk, Jimmy Nambiro, stressed the need to protect learners from vulnerable families and ensure equal access to education. He warned government schools against charging UNEB fees or collaborating with private institutions to exploit the parents.
Each child is coming to learn. Before you come to school, pay 20,000. Then the head teacher puts even, but I watch it. Me, I take head teachers as people who you to know. You even put your pen and say you are charging a UPE child 20,000 for registration. Is it anywhere here that for that child to come and study, you have to charge him 20,000?
In response, school administrators pledged to end the illegal charges, making the commitment in the presence of officials from the State House Anti-Corruption Unit.
I want us to agree together, friends, colleagues, in the interest of justice and for harmony. Can we agree that as head teacher, that voice has stopped today? Can we agree? Those that agree with me, kindly let us raise our hands.
Meanwhile, the Chief Administrative Officer, Angela Okrut, together with the District Education Officer, Sam Paddy Kauka, urged school heads to uphold professionalism and rely on their government salaries rather than exploiting the parents.
To take care of the teachers' lunch, the teachers' food, and yet they what? The teachers are paid. So what's the use of the salary? I think that is one thing that has to be corrected immediately.
Charges, no what have you, doing everything. So this one has come at a time we are trying to embark on the serious work. Are the watchdogs, are the foot soldiers, they are supposed to do the exact thing. If Cow says this, it must be done. If the president says that, it must be done.
Mike Bakabulindi.
As Makerere University draws closer to its guild elections, attention is turning to the return of structured student debates, marking the first such engagement since 2022 when physical campaigns were suspended following clashes between rival camps. The Julius Nyerere Leadership Center, through its executive director, Nansozi Mwanga, emphasized the importance of the debates in promoting issue-based politics among students, noting that such forums are essential in nurturing thoughtful, responsible young leaders. And she also further highlighted the center's continued role in shaping leadership values and fostering constructive engagement among aspiring student leaders.
To me, the reason as to why we should have these debates is that these debates help us to see the potentials of our candidates. You know, sometimes people just support because maybe I know this person, something like that. But then when we have this platform whereby these people are debating together on the same platform, it helps us to compare their ideas, to compare their capabilities, and we can get the best candidate from there, which helps us at least to push up our university.
The Julius Nyerere Leadership Center is very invested in looking at young leaders in terms of integrity, in terms of ethical ways of doing things. And so linking it back to us is really providing or facilitating a platform where the young leaders here at Makerere can actually begin to talk about their policies as opposed to just negating the opponent's views.
Uganda joined the rest of the world in marking International Day of Forests with a renewed call for environmental conservation. as youth took center stage in restoring degraded landscapes. In Luwero district, a two-day tree planting and awareness campaign under Gayo Uganda is underway, bringing together university students and environmental partners to protect one of the country's vital forest reserves.
A wave of green action has swept through Nandere, local forest reserve, where university students from Makere, Mobs and Chambogo have gathered for a two-day conservation initiative aimed at restoring the degraded Lazarus forest.
No matter what cause you're doing, it's a collective effort because the environment affects all of us.
Forestry play a very vital role in our environment.
We're calling upon every one of you who is out there to be the change in the environment.
Organized by the Green Africa Youth Uganda, the campaign is being held under the theme, Planting Roots of Change, Youth Stories for Healthy Forests and Water Futures.
And this is not just a restoration event, but a platform for inspiration and contribution towards environmental conservation and sustainability. Why we do this is that we want to create that kind of workforce of active citizens that are really responsible for the environment.
The initiative comes at a time of growing concern over deforestation and environmental degradation, which continue to threaten Uganda's forest ecosystems.
The land here was degraded, but now the tree planting activity that we are having here is part of the restoration.
We restore our forests because they are being degraded by us every other day.
And you can deforest forests for maybe firewood or any other use, but again, sustainably plant after cutting.
Experts say forests play a critical role in the biodiversity conservation, climate regulation, and water protection. Yet many are under pressure due to unsustainable land use.
The major lead of deforestation is to create land for agricultural use, because land on forest is very fertile and it is virgin land. So you realize that communities want to come and encroach on that land because of those values that they have, and eventually they cut down those trees.
The highlight of the initiative is a large-scale tree planting exercise targeting more than 2,000 indigenous trees.
We are doing this restoration with indigenous trees is that because of the multiple benefits that we obtain from indigenous tree restoration, or indigenous tree growing and planting. So because the indigenous trees create a lot of, have a lot of biodiversity importances.
The camp-style event also provides a platform for learning and collective climate action.
My advice to the youth is that they should create more awareness to other colleagues to come together and we do the environmental duty of restoring trees. At least in a year we can plant over 1 million or 2 million trees.
Such youth-driven initiatives are increasingly being recognized as a key to building resilient ecosystems and sustainable communities.
In a bid to raise funds for supporting visually impaired learners at Bukoto Muslim Primary School, leaders and civil society organizations have organized a charity run aimed at acquiring essential learning equipment for the pupils. This initiative was spearheaded by the newly elected women councillors for Bukoto Maparenda, Catherine Rose, who called upon Ugandans to join hands in supporting vulnerable children for a better future. Now, all these funds collected from the run will be channeled towards the school's support fund. The headmistress commended participants for their efforts and committed to improving the welfare of the learners.
Organized the marathon basically to bring support together to give it to this school. We are having limited resources here in terms of teachers, basic needs basically. So we are here to join hands and support the school. I called each and everyone to give that anything that you have.
They are total blind. Tebalaba. Omuntu olaba gwalaba osobola okulinnya mukanya naye wano ettaka lyaffe teriri leveled twetaaga leveling and walkways buli oteekamu walkways kyanguyira omuntu n'atambuzako height cane okusobola okuba nga you ease the movement naye bw'aba nga tewali walkways ate if it is like this in this state you cannot put a walkway but after leveling you put construct some walkways. It makes life easier. It becomes friendly, even to the young children in the infant classes.
Founder Kampala Province Cooperative Society Limited. We have organized this marathon to see that we can help this school, Bokoto Muslim Primary School. It has also a unit for blind. We have managed to collect to get more than 200 participants. Yeah, 200 participants.
Naye muntu yazalibwa nga bwokolaki bwozalibwa kubeera nga mubaagala mubasembeze nawe abeere n'essuubi mu bulamu bw'ensi. Si ekyenkomeredde mu kuba omwana avuddeko talaba oba amaaso gaafa naye omwana bw'osigala ng'otambula naye bingi abasomesebwa tolaba nga abadde kiggala abadde muzibe naye ng'akola bulungi mu gavumenti muno.
Mu kubeera nga batambula abamu babeera bagwa mu binnya nti ng'ate ne we basula wennyini si we walungi ennyo. So bye byasinga ennyo okutukwatako ne tugamba katujje tulabe engeri gye tuyinza okulaba nga tuyamba ku ssomero lino ne bamuzibe okutwalira ewamu.
More in our UBC Weekly Roundup edition, the National Forest Authority, and in partnership with the Ministry of Water, Environment and NCBA Bank, has intensified its ambitious campaign to plant 1 million trees aimed at restoring Uganda's rapidly declining forest cover. This initiative, launched last year in Masaka, continued with a 20,000 tree planting exercise in Namanagana Forest Reserve near Mabira Forest, targeting 20 acres of degraded land using indigenous species. More details in this report.
Manamananga is part of the Mabira landscape. We are here to launch a tree planting initiative together with NCBA Bank. They have funded restoration of 20 hectares of the degraded parts of Namananga Central Forest Reserve. Degradation is caused by the population around and illegalities like lumbering, charcoal burning, and a few who come in cutting trees and clearing land for cultivation. So we've been able to sensitize the communities, work together with them, and now we are restoring 20 hectares by planting indigenous tree species that existed in this forest and trees of high value, including Prunus africana, albizia, cordia, the mivules, those ones that have been here.
We cannot be successful as an organization, as NCBA, if we are working in a community that doesn't look after the trees. So that alone is an opportunity for us to actually give back to the community. Tree planting is also a commercial initiative where, as a bank, we can actually support a number of farmers that are actually in the tree planting business. And as a matter of fact, we support quite a number where they're actually in the business of planting, growing, and also harvesting those trees and then planting again.
They say we were born here in a form of just trying to take away this land, which is very bad. As the government of Kangumia Town Council, we've tried to chase some of these individuals. What I can say is that whoever knows that you resettled, you came and settled in the foresty land, you better run away, because once you are arrested, it will be very bad.
Nze forest guard wakamu katondu kano tusigala nga tukuma naye ng'ekibira nga mukimanyi tekikukumika kati nga wano kakabira kali over 500 hectares kati oyinza kubeera wano ng'eri batema nga otomanyi ogenda kutuukayo osanga baagitema kati ogenda kutuukawo nga giri wansi oba oluusi nga gyajooca naye bwe tusanga nga wadde yagitema nga yateekamu nga agezaako okwokya amanda katanulu tugenda ne tukateekamu omuliro ne tukookya.
Sugarcane farmers under the Bunyoro Sugarcane Farmers Cooperative Union Limited have petitioned the Bunyoro Kitara Kingdom, citing persistent challenges in their dealings with Kinyara Sugar Company. The farmers accuse Kinyara Sugar Company of attempting to monopolize the sugarcane market in the region. They claim the company confiscated their weighing bridge, limiting their ability to independently verify the weight of their produce.
For years, sugarcane growers under Bunyoro Sugarcane Farmers Cooperative Union Limited have allegedly faced intimidation from Kinyara Sugar Company, including restrictions on selling their sugarcane to alternative buyers and lack of transparency in determining the weight and pricing of their produce.
Tetusobola kugenda mu factory kulaba nankani kulaba minzaani nga bapima ebikajjo byaffe. Tweteerawo minzaani ezaffe. Ffe nnyini ne tweteerawo minzaani ezaffe. Kakati minzaani ezo kubanga omuyindi tayagala kikajjo kyonna kifulume wano yakisazeewo n'agenda mu gavumenti ne yeekubira enduulu era n'aba mu gavumenti ne bamuwuliriza ne bajja ne batwala minzaani zaffe. Tetumanyi na gye ziri. Bwe tutwala ebikajjo ebyaffe eruweero tubitunda mitwalo 13. Kakati abo be bataagala bajje wano kubanga bagala titujja kugaggawala. Baagala ffe tusigale nga tuli baavu lunkupe.
Farmers are now seeking intervention from the kingdom to address what they describe as exploitation and unfair trade practices. Mr. Kazimbiraine further alleges that the confiscation of weighing equipment has disrupted their operations. He adds that farmers are required to consult Kinyara before selling their sugarcane or risk a penalty of up to 10%.
Fengafa abalina ebikajjo betwerimiranga tetusabye Kinyara rukusa. Kaakati batugamba bw'ogenda okutunda ebikajjo byebyo Kinyara ekugamba lwaki walima ebikajjo bino nga tomaze kuntegeezaako neekukyajinga 10% buli ttani. Bakugamba wano nti ttani bagigula mitwalo 14,400. Kakati bwe bakuggyako 1% baba bakuggyako omutwalo 14,400.
The farmers also expressed frustration over continuous financial losses, accusing the company of delaying payments while maintaining control over the market.
Ng'abalimi ow'ebikajjo company n'omala emyezi 3 nga tofunanga ssente kuva mu bikajjo byo bye walima ng'ate ye yabijjamu dda sukaali yabijjamu dda bagaasi yabijjamu dda molasses n'abitunda.
In response, the Prime Minister of Bunyoro Kitara Kingdom, Andrew Byakutaga Tenyi, has engaged the affected farmers and pledged to consult relevant stakeholders to find a lasting solution.
We are also going to consult with the other kingdom authorities and with the government officials to really find out what is exactly going on. And therefore, we shall forward the issues they have raised to the relevant authorities to ensure really that there is harmony.
The farmers remain hopeful that the kingdom's intervention will restore fairness and protect their livelihoods. Shaidat Nasaku, UBC News.
Makerere University students have been challenged to look beyond the pursuit of money and instead focus on becoming valuable individuals in society. This message was made during the Kyoto session held at Makerere University under the theme More Than Money, Becoming Valuable. This conversation was part of the Emerging Leaders Program, an initiative led by the First Lady aimed at shaping young people into disciplined, ethical and purpose-driven leaders for national development.
In military training, they have what they call lectures of opportunity. Now, these are things that need to be introduced in universities so that the students get to know what happens in the world, how they need to prepare, how they should position themselves, how to make them marketable, and solve the problems of the world. Otherwise, theory without practice doesn't give results.
We base these programs on the SAFE campaign, which has S as sexually fortified, A as addiction-free, F as financially faithful, and E as education focused. And what we base on to have these talks is a talk that falls in any of those components of the SAFE campaign. We believe that we can raise leaders who honor their bodies and keep themselves sexually pure, are addiction-free, and are encouraging the community around them, emulating the right values to ensure that young people walk a path that is dignified and enables them to focus on their education.
We selected this one because we've also discovered from our studies that many students are suffering from they're faced with economic challenges, and they want to find small activities that they can do to earn a living.
What I got is that in most cases we always look for a job, but not necessarily to become rich. We just look for a job mainly to get capital. And I also say that capital is not about money. It's all about even social capital, the people that you know, because your network is your net worth.
Furthermore, youth have been urged to embrace cultural values and practices to improve on their morals. This has been said by Aineplani Major, the Guild President of Kampala International University, during Cultural Gala held at KIU. He has urged Ugandans to showcase their cultural values and identity wherever they go.
As you are sloping down the way, there is an area called Aicha. As we all know, an Aitel battery has got two distinct colors, that is red and white. So I have a bull that has got those colors, so I'm called a puppet. Right now what we're presenting there was a folk song based on the theme within our culture. In a way, what we demonstrated there was actually our traditional marriage, where a boy is being called by his father, being blessed in a way that he gets what is so much needed on his way to his marriage ceremony. So on my movement, I was moving with my friend to the place that was directed by my father.
So in this small tale that we have presented before you people, it is a small story about an actual man who gets angered by his wife just because she didn't serve him the proper pieces of meat. However, in that Holy Land, it is an abomination for a man to check into the pot in the kitchen. So when he gets too angry that the meat is done because there's not then he goes ahead and does the abomination act. So I get so angered, we have a fight, but later on I open up my heart because he's my man. So after that, he comes back, the neighbors come around, telling that, you know what, man, you used to go hunting some time back. You used to go hunting, why don't you do the same if you want?
Always conflicts, little problems, but always understanding, bring peace and unity. That's why we have celebrated it. We like hunting.
Uganda is holding a regional training for 18 member states aimed at tackling the illicit transfer of toxic chemicals across Africa, particularly in fragile and conflicted areas. Although Africa remains rich in natural resources and economic opportunities, experts warn that weak regulatory systems, porous borders, and limited enforcement capacity continue to expose countries to the risk of illicit chemical trafficking. More details in this report.
saba katonda
ne momo gisabiranga
kubanga
etwadde vani enyirira okuzama
Lucky hey Lucky
We sat down and asked, what more can we do for the guardians, the parents who take time to pay school fees? Why don't we give them a van? So I officially hand over the keys to this school van to Lucky Kids Academy. We are grateful for everything that you've done for Mama.
We are just lucky, wallahi. We thank you so much for this hand that you've given us. You've stretched towards Lucky Kids and the rest of the schools.
There you go, Lucky Kids Academy here in Puerto winning the first van. What do you have to do, Ruth, to win a van courtesy of Momo?
Just pay school fees using Momo app or press star 165 star 80 hash. Pay the school fees, then you stand a chance to win school fees or a school van.
Lucky!
This is Academy Momo!
Welcome back. You're still watching the UBC Weekend Edition. The Uganda National Association of Builders, Suppliers, Engineering and Contractors, UNABSEC, has attributed the failure of local providers to compete in the international oil and gas market to limited skills and inadequate preparedness. The revelation was made during a stakeholders meeting held in Kampala, where participants convened to discuss strategies to overcome these barriers. While addressing local providers, Kiara Bintu Nkurunga, president of the Uganda National Association of Builders, Suppliers, and Engineering and Contractors, noted that many local firms are constrained by skills, gaps, and lack of adequate preparation, which undermines their competitiveness on the global stage.
To launch a tree planting initiative, restoration of 20 hectares of the degraded parts of Namananga Central Forest Reserve. Namananga is part of the Mavira landscape. We are here to launch a tree planting initiative together with NCBA Bank.
Initiative where
We do beg your pardon. That story shall be relayed in our forthcoming bulletins. Moroto Central Market vendors have commended municipal authorities for enforcing trade order, which has boosted business in the market. This follows a directive requiring all vendors operating in kiosks and on the streets to relocate to the central market. According to Moroto Municipal Town Clerk Richard Eyaru, over 1,000 stalls are now occupied, attracting more businesses to the market. This was during a visit by officials from State House, the Ministry of Local Government and Moroto Municipal Council, who were assessing the market following media reports that it was idle and structurally compromised.
Officials from State House, the Ministry of Local Government and Moroto Municipal Council, led by Presidential Advisor on Markets and the Informal Sector, Winnie Twiney, have visited Moroto Central Market to assess its status following media reports alleging inactivity and structural concerns.
Here it is a false information. The market is full up.
But that clip does not reflect what has been happening in the market, because the market has been active and people have been there. But that clip showed that the market has been idle and there were no people. But I think that clip was taken a long time ago.
We've been having vendors, but the market was underutilized.
Vendors commended municipal authorities for enforcing trade order, noting increased business activity.
Watu wenye alikuwa nje yote waingie ndani sokoni ifanye nini? Ikuwe busy. Ndio kitu mimi nafurahia sana mzee. Asante mzee.
It has come at the right time, and when you go around the market, you really realize that it has boosted the business. When you get to the restaurant side,
5 million. But as of today, this morning, our banks are reading 13 million. Just 4 days.
Moroto Municipal Town Clerk Richard Eyaru confirmed that eviction operations are ongoing. However, vendors raised concerns about limited working hours, inadequate lighting, theft, non-functional CCTV cameras, water access and waste disposal in the saloon section.
The morning, they open at around 7. They open at around 7:30. You're cooking breakfast. Breakfast has got ready at around 10, 11. People have already gone away. The time of closing, they close at around 6.
That are done, it is harder to trace them. Now, we have the cameras, but monitoring them, there should be somebody who can at least give alert to security through those cameras.
Twini announced that starting July, toilet fees will be reduced to 100 from 500 shillings.
The toilets have agreed there is no tendering toilets. For example, we know, which is the state of Uganda, a market person pay 100 shillings for toilet, visiting a toilet. But for them, they are paying 500.
Meanwhile, Twine also abolished night vending effective April 1st and extended market working hours to 9 p.m.
Women, they are suffering by carrying things at night to the roadside. They rather work up to 9. That is what they requested.
Eyaru warned against the construction of illegal structures following the demolition of unauthorized containers.
Before you do anything, we are warning those who are moving very fast here to develop their spaces using bricks without permission. We are going to break those things down immediately.
On March 23rd, Moroto Municipal Council began enforcing trade order after a 2-week ultimatum for vendors to vacate the streets, leading to increased occupancy of market stalls. I'm Nafka Farida and Moriniga.
And in the world of sports, the finals of the Plascon Painters Cup took center stage at Ham Stadium in downtown Kampala, where Kigezi Painters defeated Masindi Painters Football Club in a penalty shootout. The two sides played to a 1-1 draw in regular time before Kigezi Painters emerged victorious in the decisive sport kicks. Beyond nurturing talent, the 6th edition of the competition, which attracted 32 teams from across the country, aimed at uniting painters under a common goal.
Here at Ham's Natural Stadium for our final, the Kasai Plascon Painters Football Tournament, which has been a very growing tournament comprising 32 teams. We have had the Cavalry take the day, beating Masindi 5-4 the penalty stage. This is one of the activities that Plascon carries out with the painters. We are more known for skilling painters through the painters training programs. We are also more known for helping with their development by supporting their cooperatives or circles all over the country until this stage, the final stage when we had two teams, Cavalry and Masindi Tasoita. It has been a successful tournament. The talents have been identified. We shall keep supporting the painters who have talent to further their talents further, because as you all know, Plascon is one of the big sporting brands in the country that have supported sports, sports discipline.
For the second year in succession, Seroma Christian High School has emerged as the victors of the Uganda Aquatics Secondary School Swimming Gala. We have more details on this report.
"15 secondary schools participated in this year's edition of the Uganda Aquatics Secondary School Swim Meet, which took place at the Green Hill Academy Swimming Pool in Kibuli on Saturday. The 11th edition had 3 age categories, including 12 to 14, 15 to 16, and 17 and over, competing for top honors in the 50 and the 100-meter sprint races, as well as the 200 meters individual medley hybrid race.
The purpose of this event, first of all, is to encourage athletes who are in the secondary school system also have an opportunity to participate, to swim.
Sango Chigundu, Nathan Sereko, and Zara Mbanga were among the individual stars that shone. Athletes stated why this meet was important.
And it's good to see the competition. There's a lot of competition and it was good racing today.
This gala has been entertaining for the female athletes. It showed most of us where we are and what we need to improve on.
I think this gala is really important because it inspires younger children to learn new things from watching older children.
And I feel like you shouldn't take opportunities like this for granted because galas, they're only like very so often.
Seroma Christian High School reclaimed the trophy they first won a year ago in Nabu Mali, amassing a total of 1,800 points ahead of Aga Khan High School and British School of Kampala.
It has been quite a cumbersome journey, but we want to thank the Lord because it has been all by His might. I want to thank the coaches and the team itself for the hard work they have put in all this time, for the sacrifices they have made, for the administration that has continued to facilitate all our programs, participate in these games every now and then.
Mashamira Victor, BBC News.
In a move to redefine the role of sports in the academic sphere, a senior educationist as well as chairman of the board of directors at Nakaseke International College has issued a passionate call for parents, teachers and the wider community to actively promote and support children's talents.
To the school administration for the opportunity that they have given to us by availing the sports department with the different bursaries that have helped us to nurture and promote the talent of the young boys.
It's not only our efforts, it was the Lord that really helped us to achieve. But then I also thank the boys because they put in a lot of efforts.
Speaking to the stakeholders during the event, Mulindwa Samuel Mukasa, a senior educationist as well the board chairman, emphasized that modern education landscape requires more than just classroom excellence.
We always emphasize academic excellence and we sometimes forget that education is under the Ministry of Education and Sports. So I would like to urge all stakeholders in this country to support these young people when it comes to the games and the sports.
The school administrator, Nasa Mugaya, highlighted that the school aims to be a hub where students can discover their passions early in sports and the arts, including traditional academics.
Join us. People have tested us and they have always achieved many. You have seen when it comes to the USCE, who were there. When it came to UCE, who were there. Today we are celebrating the trophy.
With this victory, Nakaseke International College is setting a new benchmark for integrated education, proving the proficiency of the next generation of Ugandan leaders. I'm Benon Mukwaya, UBC News.
Step into elegance, step into confidence, step into La Vie Boutique. Located at Grand Imperial Hotel, Shop 6 and 8, right behind Bank of Uganda, La Vie Boutique brings you high-class corporate and casual wear for men. From sharp designer suits and crisp shirts to stylish casual t-shirts, tracksuits, shoes and accessories, we've got everything to make you stand out. Call us on 0772 419 181 or 0705 555 558. La Vie Boutique, where class meets style.
And that brings us to the end of our weekend edition. My name is Wadulo Arnold Mark. Thank you for being a lovely audience. See you later on in our subsequent bulletins.